entire body. The heart is one of the centers, but it's every cell in our body is emotional and reacts emotionally. Someone that has kind of proven this very well is Cleve Baxter, who discovered plants have feelings.
Yes,
and his
great work.
Yeah, and his work that he's done since then, called The Secret Life of Your Cells, show that your cells are much more plugged into reality than your mind is, and that your cells, the cells in your body, and in fact the cells in all living things, seem to be connected and care about each other. And in his book, Primary Perception, you can read about these experiments where they've done where bacteria in yogurt care about you and show it. It's life. Life loves life. It's amazing that most people think that life is the opposite of that, when all of nature is actually highly cooperative. And we can get into why we have wars and all those kind of things at another talk. But every cell in our body, every microbe, every cell, and everything from bacteria to us are connected and care about each other and react when one of us is hurting. And that's why some people, the very sensitive people out there, can feel what I call the universal pain of the planet. Because there are many vibrations on the planet. Pain is one of them. And what I learned on the other side is that as we come more and more, as we awaken more and more into the new world that's coming, there will always be pain. There will always be pain. Like you will always, there'll be broken legs, there'll be burnt fingers. There will always be pain, but the suffering will end. That's the worst part of what people perceive about pain, is the suffering. So there's a big difference between pain and suffering. And so you might say that suffering is an emotional response. So it's interesting to contemplate that we will never get away from pain one way or the other. It's part of the universe. But
right.
The suffering will end, and that's one of the more beautiful things that's coming as we awaken.
That's classic Buddhism, isn't it?
It's universal that way, and we're moving more and more technically now into that realm in which we can free every human on earth, comfort, feed, clothe, educate every human on earth. This has never happened before in history. This is an amazing time, and it's just beginning.
We can claim the life of the one and live that with integrity and consciously.
Mm-hmm. And and the way karma works is, like the court of law, is that ignorance of the law is no defense. So it's like the war in Iraq had a heavy karma to it. And just because you don't think you participated doesn't mean you are not going to reap that karma. Just like in a court of law, you can say, I didn't know, I honestly don't remember anyone telling me it was illegal to kill people. Do you think that's going to defend you?
Right. It didn't work for Adolf Eichmann.
And it's not going to work for us and leaders we pick that go that way. There's a karma that comes with all of this. And saying you're ignorant of it, that you had no part of it, it's impossible now not to have any part of this. Especially, if you're an American taxpayer, you're paying for it. You're paying for all of this. So it's amazing when you wake up and you realize, not only am I involved in this, even if I don't believe in it, I'm also paying for it.
I subsidized it.
Exactly. So there's these levels of karma of which you can't say you're innocent of anymore, and that's because of the expansion of consciousness and awareness on the planet. So that's what we have to watch in the future. Is we're technically at a point now where the first time in history we can literally bring this concept called heaven to earth. We can literally manifest this now. We technically can manifest heaven on earth, but we can't let our leaders and our leaders are supposed to be the best and the smartest among us, and if they can't give us peace, why are they our leaders?
Very good question. Isn't that the criteria under which they assume that role?
Mm-hmm. And so as the world problems become all of our problems, this is actually part of the solution, because every problem in the world is our problem, and our problem is everyone else's problem in the world. And this is one of the things that bring us together and make us choose different kinds of leaders in the future.
And sweetheart, we probably have about 2 minutes left. So, or so. So in that time, in addition to letting people know that you'll be doing a rare public appearance at Omega at the end of August, the beginning of September, and I'm fortunate enough to be teaching that class with you, so I don't have to cancel the class that I'm teaching to run over and be in the class that you're in, because I wouldn't miss it for the world. In the 2 minutes or so that we have left, or the minute or so that we have left, what would you most like to share with people or convey or have people walk away with after our sharing?
Well, that things are never as bad as they seem, and literally tomorrow is another day, and we're always being given second chances, and that plays into reincarnation also. That we're here for a good reason, and we're here to do good.
That's beautiful, sweetheart, and I can see that most of us are losing perspective on that because we're getting distracted by so many other elements that are in our face. But that's the challenge of the human experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I read something that'll take less than a minute?
Absolutely.
Remember Dr. Bernie Siegel?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He and I were exchanged poems and letters, and this is something I wrote to him about. We were talking about the current financial situation, why so many people are hurting, and all of that, and why this is a huge shift that's happening. And here's what came to me, and it goes like this. It's part of a letter I wrote to him. So many of us have no choice now but to start over. There's nothing else we can do because overnight everything seems to have gone wrong, from Main Street to Wall Street, from the White House to our house. Our hard-earned retirement funds are gone. Our life savings are gone. The jobs we relied on for so long are gone. The great institutions have become illusions that once glittered in the sun. The people, the government we trusted have failed and or abandoned us. Our lives are ravaged by both a flood of problems, doubts, and questions, while in the same effect, a drought of resources, trust, and answers. Our collective cup hath runneth over, spilled, and broke. Now we find ourselves clinging to the rooftops of our lives, with only ourselves to love or blame, to heal or curse. This is the time where our true grace and real power as individuals becomes manifest. Most of us will make it, some of us won't this time around. Let us have compassion for ourselves and others. Pray that the gods of all of us may bless us all. What have you got to lose? This is the time of dying to old illusions and rebirth to new visions. This almost has to happen from time to time so that we can heal the darkness and grow into a new light and evolve personally and spiritually. I know this may sound like a cliche, but it's so true.
Thank you, sweetheart. That's all the time we have.
Okay.
This is my guest, Mellen-Thomas Benedict. Go to his website, Mellen-Thomas.com. Until we do it again next week with the Goddess Sophia. Rock on, babies.
You've been listening to You Are What You Love with author Vaishali.
Did we make it out in
time? To order
time?
Vaishali's book, You Are What You Love, or to schedule a private self-emergent session with Vaishali,
okay, that's fine. I'd rather get Mellen's last thoughts in there rather than the commercial.
And
that's
remember,
fine.
you are what you love, and you love whatever you give your attention to. So love wisely.